Hey guys, welcome to another video from Historic Militaria. Today we are looking at the broom handles that came to America, and in this particular instance we're going to look at a variant that is found on the US collector market today. And as you can see, this is a full-size regular gun. Nothing particularly amazing about it except the stamp right here, which says Von Lenkirk and Detmold, New York. Now, Von Lenkirk and Detmold were actually retailers, or kind of like a distributor, if you will. They were also retailers who sold all kinds of camping supplies and firearms and really all kinds of outdoor equipment. And they had the exclusive contract with Mauser to import these guns into the United States. So this is a gun from about 1900, certainly the very early 1900s, no later than about 1902, 1903 at the very latest. It is called a large ring hammer, and obviously because of the large ring, whereas later broom handles had what's called a small ring, and that's just a smaller ring. This is very similar to a cone hammer in that it's about the same size, a little bit larger than a cone hammer, but it doesn't have the cone-shaped projections on either side. So it's just got a larger ring. Again, the later guns had a smaller ring, and that smaller ring started right about serial number 35,000. So if you see one of these with large ring, it's going to be between about serial number 14,000 and about serial number 35,000. So they didn't make a whole bunch of large rings, but they did make enough that they are here and around and can be found. And certainly the American ones generally tended to stay in America, and so you do actually find them in fairly decent condition quite often. They didn't go to war. They were sold on the retail level to consumers in America, and they were generally well cared for quite often. As you can see, this one's got all the original varnish on the grips. It's got pretty much 100% original blue, and it does have that stamp, which was actually put on at the factory in Germany. It wasn't put on after the fact. So that is part of the gun's manufacturing process. It's, I guess you could think of it akin as an import mark today on a gun, but since it was actually put on when the gun was made, it's a little bit different. These are a subset of collector guns. They're called VLD. And then what would happen is this gun would be made by Mauser, imported to America by VLD, and then it would be sold to retailers or to a consumer by VLD, and it would be logged in and logged out of their books. The really cool thing is the original VLD books have survived, and so for a lot of these, you can get online and you actually can have a letter and a copy of the original VLD book, at least the entry for your gun, sent to you if you have the serial number and all that good stuff. And you can actually see sort of the store it got sent to, maybe even the person who bought it, if you're lucky. And it's kind of an interesting thing. If you have one of these, it's kind of a service worth doing. So this gun, like I said, is the large ring hammer version. It has the standard Mauser up to 1,000 meter rear tangent sight. You've got your standard bolt, standard long extractor on these, nice fire blue on that, and that is a long extractor. And right about serial number 40,000 or so, they went to a shorter extractor, which it is just shorter. That's the only difference. You still have your typical chamber marking over the chamber and your standard front sight, which really didn't change for the entire time of Mauser. You've got your Crown U proof, which you will find on pretty much all broom handles. Flip this guy over. And these are just some examples of boxes of ammunition, American-made commercial ammunition from the time. So obviously there was enough interest in broom handles for Winchester and other major companies to be making this stuff. And boxes of this are just kind of a cool accessory to have with your broom handle. If you look on the other side of this, you've got your standard Waffen fabric Mauser. You've got your bolt stop and everything. And you've got right here, you're going to see this proof mark. It is actually the Ulm Proof Mark, which is just a German proof house. Just shows this was proofed and ready for sale. And this proof mark stopped, I believe, off the top of my head, I'm going to say around 35,000 on broom handles. It didn't stick around for that long. And then you're out to your front side again. These have sort of the newer type hammer. It's not a cone hammer type hammer or cone hammer type trigger. And they're always going to be strawed. The amount of straw left obviously depends on the gun. This one has a nice amount of straw on it. Your safety is going to be a typical early safety in that up is safe. I'm sorry, up is fire. They changed that. Up is fire and your gun can be cocked, whereas down is safe and your gun cannot be cocked. Again, this gun has been cleared before we started doing this video, so nothing to worry about there. Inside, your typical follower, which is in the white. Nothing amazing to look at there, but just a very nice example of a VLD large ring that a lot of people tend to see and wonder what it is. But that gives you a little bit of background on what that stamp means. It means a gun that was only made for the US commercial market. And while interesting and certainly something that is collectible, I don't know that it adds a great deal of rarity or value to them because, as I said, of these early guns, the ones that came to America really did kind of survive well because they stayed in America and obviously didn't see any kind of service other than consumer use and maybe some consumer abuse. Everything else on the gun is very standard. You've got your takedown for the magazine, your typical lanyard ring, and you will see sort of a collection of symbols underneath the barrel. Those are just various proofs and factory markings. Nothing to get overly excited about with those on a general basis. A lot of people are not even quite sure what all they mean. I know those are proofs though on that one. They're not military proofs. They're not like any kind of secret German acceptance or anything like that, like some people tend to believe. They're very standard on these guns. But I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this. If you enjoy broom handles, tell me about it and tell me what you'd like to see, and we'll see if we can do it for you. We'll be doing more helmets, more ordnance, and more guns in the near future. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.